Hi everyone, Crista Cowan here with another episode of The Barefoot Genealogist. It is time for our monthly edition of What's New at Ancestry. This is for January of 2017. I had to practice that a few times, make sure I said it right, because it is 2017, and I was afraid I was going to say 2016. So if you've never joined us for a What's New episode before, we're just going to cover some events that are coming up that you might be interested in, and then we're going to talk about some of the new content that's been placed online in the last month. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's talk first about events for 2017. There is a major event coming up very shortly. So if you have any interest at all in attending Roots Tech in Salt Lake City, it's coming up the 8th through the 11th of February. Roots Tech is the largest genealogy conference here in the United States, and it is held in the winter here in Salt Lake City every year. I think this will be the 6th year of this particular event. Thousands of people in attendance. They've lined up amazing keynote speakers. There are hundreds of vendors in the exhibitor hall, thousands of classes to choose from over the several courses of the day. You can find out more about Roots Tech if you visit rootstech.org. One of the things that you might also want to consider is they do have a streaming portion of that event. So if you can't attend in person, they do stream, I believe it's one of the presentations an hour throughout the duration of the conference. So that's something you can, instead of flying out to Salt Lake City, you can wrap up in your pajamas with your laptop or tablet and watch some of those things online. I do believe you have to sign up for those as well, though. So you will want to go to the website, rootstech.org, and check out more information there. The remainder of the 4 major genealogical conferences for the year are listed there on your screen. We're going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina this year in May for NGS. Of course, the genealogy jamboree that the Southern California Genealogical Society puts on in Burbank every year in June. It's one of my favorite events. The International Association of Jewish Genealogical Societies will be in Orlando this year in July, and Labor Day weekend, FGS, of course, this year will be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So we're going to be all over the U.S. this year. There are some international events as well that we'll put on the calendar here coming up soon. And then, of course, there are local and state and local events put on by your genealogical societies, by local family history centers all over the country, all over the world. Be sure to check with your local organizations to see what events they have going on as well. If you're going to attend any of the major events, however, please be sure to stop by the Ancestry booth. I attend all of the major genealogical events and would love to meet you. So that's it for the events for 2017, the major genealogical events. Let's talk about content for the month of December. Ancestry placed more than 86 million records online in the month of December. If you've never joined us for a What's New episode before, let me just briefly show you where you can go to keep up with this on your own throughout the month. Under the search menu on Ancestry, if you scroll down to the card catalog, it's my favorite resource on our whole website. One of the things you can do is you can sort the card catalog by date added. That will put all the new stuff at the top of the list, and if you just scroll through, you can see some of the new records that we have added this past month. If you hover over any given database, so for example, on December 12th, you'll notice here, we published a set of Hesse Germany marriage records, about 3.2 million of them, that range from 1874 to 1930. So that's just an easy way to see when the collection was published. You can get information about how many records are in the collection. And then, of course, if you click through to any one of these sets of records, you can search just that specific database. You can see some source information and a brief database description on any of these records if you look below the search box. And then over here on the right, if the collection has images, which not all record sets do, sometimes all Ancestry can get access to is the indexes, but if there are images available, you're going to see a browse box where you can actually look through and see what locations and time periods are covered in this particular record collection. And if you so desire, you can actually go through and browse those images or that image set just like you would a real of microfilm. In this case, it's a particular address book. It's got 132 images. I can use the film strip down here to quickly jump to a specific image. I can type a number here directly into the image number directly in and hit enter and go directly to that image. I can collapse the film strip so that I can see the full image, or I can use the arrows here to go image by image through this particular set of records. So that's how you browse records. Again, if there are images available, you will see that browse box on the database description. What I really want to highlight this month, because content, I don't have time to go through every single database we've released. I wish I did. But we did release millions and millions of marriage records and indexes in the United States this year. Now, I went ahead and put every state that we released this last month on the slide here, so hopefully it's not too tiny that you can't read it. But I just wanted to kind of give this broad, expansive view of exactly what's happening. Ancestry has, in many instances, been working with Family Search to publish some of their records and make them available on our site so that they are easily searchable, so that they will start to hint. Remember, not all records on Ancestry hint, and not all records that we publish hint right away. But we want to get them online so that they can start to hint, so that when you do find them, you can attach them directly to your tree. There are some really great resources available, though, with some of these records, and I just want to point one in particular out as it has to do with what we call coverage. So let's look at Florida, for example. Now, one of the things you need to know about these marriage records is that sometimes Ancestry was able to get actual images of the marriage records, and sometimes the only thing we can get access to is the indexes. And so pay attention to the title, the database description. Also recognize that some of these are going to be what we call mixed records. When you're covering a time period like this, from 1823 to 1982, for example, and when you realize that marriage records typically in the United States are kept at a county level and then copies are turned over to the state, the time period and the county is going to make a difference. That's going to determine what kind of record you're going to get, whether you're going to get a copy of the marriage license and the return, whether you're going to just get a ledger that lists the bride and groom and the date that they were married, whether you're going to get a full copy of a marriage certificate or the application for the marriage license. All of those are different kinds of marriage records, and they all contain different levels of information. So just be aware that you're going to have some of that variability, sometimes within a specific state and certainly across multiple states. Now, like I've mentioned before, if you scroll down past the search box on any database collection on Ancestry, you're going to see source information, and then you're going to see a database description. Now, one of the things you're going to notice about these records that Ancestry has obtained from Family Search is that the database descriptions are super brief. When Ancestry has obtained the records directly from the archives, sometimes these database descriptions can be a half a page or a page long, because we're trying to give you all of the information that we obtained from the archive about what is and is not in the records. But in this instance, Family Search has already created wiki pages that give detailed information about these collections. So you will just find a link there. It says go to the Family Search website to learn more about this collection. That will take you to the Family Search wiki page for these specific records, Florida marriage records. And there's some great information in here about the different kinds of records you're going to see and what those records are going to show you. In this case, they've got examples of a marriage affidavit, of a marriage application, of a marriage license. There's some details about how you search, details about what information is included, some tips about how to use that information to take your next steps in researching this family. But the one little gem that I want to point out that sometimes gets overlooked is what's called the coverage map. So on every one of the wiki pages for the different marriage records that Ancestry has obtained from Family Search, there will be this link here to see a coverage map of the holdings for that location. And that's going to take you to this pretty colored map that's going to come up here. And let's just zoom in a little bit so you can kind of get a feeling for what's happening here. You'll notice that different counties are different colors. Well, what that essentially means is that the counties that are colored red, if you click on one of them, typically there are no records available for that county. Now, there could be a lot of reasons. One of the main reasons has to do with privacy most often. So in this instance, this particular county was not created until 1921, and it is very possible that they have a 100-year privacy law on their records. So none of the records are available for that county. It wasn't a county prior to 1921, so one of the research challenges you'll have is discovering, well, if somebody is living here in 1897, what county was it at the time? And maybe it was part of this county. And so then you can find that county. In this case, this county was created in 1861, and 59% of the records from this county still exist or have been digitized and placed online. So this coverage map gives you some really great details by just clicking on each of the counties about when the county was created and about how many records are available for that county. The red, again, means no records are available. And then the green, the darker the green, the higher the percentage of records available. And the lighter the green, the less records are available for that particular place. Now, why is this coverage map important? Well, one of the things that happens is oftentimes we just see something like Florida marriages from 1823 to 1982, and we think, oh, well, I had family who lived there during that time. I should be able to find a marriage record. One of the things you need to know, especially if you're new in family history, is not every single vital event in a person's life was recorded. Births, marriages, and deaths go unrecorded all the time, even today. And of course, that problem is exacerbated the further back in history you go. The second thing you need to understand is that even where records were recorded, for various reasons, there has been record loss over time. So, even if a particular county was faithful about keeping records for decades, if they had a courthouse fire, or if there was a flood, or if, some clerk threw away a bunch of ledgers because they didn't recognize what they were, whatever the case may be, there is record loss over time. And so understanding what records exist and what records have been digitized and placed online is an important part of genealogy research. And I love what the Family Search Wiki has done here to help provide us with some insight, at least, into what has been digitized and made available online. Now, just because it is not online doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So one of the sets of records that came online this past month is the Oregon marriage records. My family lives in Oregon. My parents actually live there now. They just went home after spending the holidays with me here in Utah, and they live in Washington County, Oregon. And so I just came in here into Washington County, Oregon, into the Oregon County Marriages database, and I just typed in Washington County, Oregon in the marriage location. Now you'll notice that when I start typing, I get that type ahead list. Always choose from that list wherever possible, because Ancestry knows exactly where that location is and how it relates to the records in this particular database. Now that's the only piece of information I'm going to put in here, because what I want to see is, this is a different way to look at what the coverage is for a specific location in this database. So I just did a search in the Oregon County Marriages database for a location, a marriage location of Washington County, Oregon. I marked it exact, and you'll notice there are only 14 records that come up. Now, are there only 14 people that got married in Washington County, Oregon from 1851 to 1975? No, I can absolutely guarantee you that that is not true. And if I look at the dates of the marriages, you'll notice they kind of are all over the place. Looks like the earliest one is 1887. The latest one looks like it's in 1952. And several dates in between. So I'm not looking at necessarily a whole bunch of early record loss and then the records pick up after a certain time. What it looks like is just that maybe the state, Washington County, hasn't turned over records to the state, or maybe the records are being recorded in a different way. Okay, so doing searches like this helps me understand the records. And then one of the things I can do is I can go and read the Family Search Wiki. Again, you're going to find that in the source, under the source information in the database description. It's going to take me to the wiki for Oregon marriages. I can look at the coverage map and I can see what I'm missing, what other additional information is available to me about these particular locations. In this particular case, it looks like if I click on Washington County, they say they have 0% coverage. Well, it's probably point something percent because we did see those 14 records. But for whatever reason, Washington County records have not been digitized. So for me as a researcher, my next step would be to contact Washington County, to contact the county clerk's office to see how and when and where marriages are recorded, to see if there's a local historical society or genealogical society who can provide me with additional information about where the marriage records for that specific location might be. So just lots and lots of marriage records that went online this month, lots for you to play with, lots of new places for you to look for your ancestors, but be sure to check out those coverage maps. And if the county where your family lived is not included or is not completely included, recognize that you can still contact some of those county clerks and historical societies in those counties to see where their records might be. Well, that is all I have for you today. I'm looking forward to an exciting new year of family history. I've got some great topics prepared for you for upcoming presentations. I'm going to get those online on our Facebook page here in the next couple of days so that you can look through those and see which ones are of interest to you. If you RSVP to those events, you will be notified when the video goes live on YouTube. Until next time, this is Crista Cowan. Have fun climbing your family tree.